Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about what just happened in Houston, because the golf world witnessed something that nobody saw coming, and frankly, something that Phil Mickelson himself probably wishes he could erase from existence. The Texas Children's Houston Open was supposed to be a tune-up, a final dress rehearsal before the biggest stage in golf, a chance to sharpen the blade before Augusta National opens its gates for the Masters. Instead, what we got was a disaster of historic proportions, followed by a press conference that will be replayed, analyzed, and debated for years to come. 76, 6 over par, not a single birdie, tied for 110th place, dead last among everyone who finished their rounds on Thursday. This is Phil Mickelson we are talking about, six-time major champion, 45 PGA Tour victories, a Hall of Famer, a man who won this exact tournament back in 2011, a man who at 50 years old became the oldest major winner in the history of the sport. And on Thursday, March 26, 2026, he walked off Memorial Park Golf Course looking like someone had stolen something from him that he could never get back. Let that sink in for a moment. Let it marinate. The Houston Open is traditionally the final stop before Augusta. Players use it to find their rhythm, to dial in their iron play, to get the putting stroke feeling smooth and confident. For the younger guys, it is about building momentum. For the veterans, it is about shaking off the rust and reminding themselves that they still have it. Phil Mickelson arrived in Houston with exactly that intention. He knew the course. That he had saber so conquer before at 55 years old, with a body that has been through more than most athletes could ever endure. He needed every advantage he could find. Memorial Park was supposed to be a friendly face. It was anything but. From the very first tee shot, nothing worked. The opening hole is a 454-yard par 4. It is a gentle handshake, a warm welcome. Mickelson's tee shot found the fairway. His approach landed on the green, and then the putter, that instrument that has produced some of the most iconic moments in major championship history, completely betrayed him. A 12-footer for birdie slid past the cup. A 4-footer for par lipped out and spun away. Bogey on the first hole. The tone was set before he even reached the second tee. The second hole is a 483-yard par 4, and it was worse. His drive found the rough. His second shot missed the green entirely. A chip that should have nestled close to the pin instead rolled 15 feet past. Another bogey. By the time Mickelson reached the third tee, the frustration was already etched into his face. The shoulders were tight. The jaw was clenched. The easy smile that has accompanied him around golf courses for 3 decades had vanished completely. Then came the fourth hole, a 224-yard par 3, a test of precision that has humbled countless great players over the years. Mickelson pulled his tee shot left, leaving himself a delicate chip from thick, gnarly rough. The chip came out heavy. The putt was tentative, the stroke of a man who no longer trusted his own hands. Double bogey. The gallery that had followed him with such anticipation in those opening holes began to thin. The cameras that had tracked his every swing started searching for other stories to tell. By the time he made the turn, the damage was catastrophic. The back nine offered no relief, no redemption, no glimmer of hope. A bogey on the 10th, a double bogey on the 13th. The pars on the remaining holes felt like moral victories, small mercies in a round that had spiraled completely out of control. The final scorecard told a brutal, unforgiving story. 76, 6 over par, 0 birdies, 2 bogeys, 2 double bogeys, tied for 110th place among the field. For a 55-year-old legend desperately trying to prove he still belonged among the elite, the round was devastating. For a man who had spent months away from competition dealing with a family health matter, the return was nothing short of humiliating. And for Phil Mickelson, who has never been one to hide his emotions, who has always worn his heart on his sleeve for better or worse, the frustration was impossible to contain. The scoring tent at Memorial Park is usually a quiet, almost reverent space. Players sign their cards, exchange a few words with officials, and slip out toward the media center. But when Phil Mickelson walked in after that 76, the silence was different. His face was flushed. His jaw was locked tight. The man who has spent 3 decades charming reporters with his wit, his candor, his ability to turn even the darkest moments into something resembling optimism was in no mood for pleasantries. He sat down heavily, his eyes fixed on the scorecard in front of him. The numbers stared back, accusatory, and unforgiving. 6 over par, 0 birdies, 2 double bogeys. He signed his name, pushed the card across the table, and walked toward the media center where a small group of reporters waited, sensing that something extraordinary was about to happen. The press conference started calmly enough. Mickelson settled into his chair, adjusted the microphone, and waited for the first question. What went wrong out there today? His response was clipped, almost mechanical. He hit the ball exactly where he wanted to. The putts just did not fall. That is golf, standard post-round platitudes, nothing to see here. But as the questions continued, the dam began to crack. A reporter asked him about the course, about his history here, about what was different today. Mickelson's jaw tightened visibly. He is 55 years old. He has been playing this game for 40 years. He is still trying to figure out why some days the ball goes in and some days it does not. The reporter should tell him the answer if they have it. The room shifted. This was not the usual diplomatic deflection. This was something raw, something unfiltered, something real. The reporters exchanged glances. A few shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They had covered Mickelson for years, some for decades. They had seen him at his highest and his lowest. They had never quite seen this. Another reporter raised a hand. How does this round affect your preparation for the Masters? Mickelson stared at the questioner for a long, uncomfortable moment before responding. It does not. He has been doing this too long to let one bad round define anything. He has had bad rounds before. He will have bad rounds again. That is not the story. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to something almost intimate, almost conspiratorial. The story is that he is here, he is playing, he is competing, and he is not going anywhere. So if anyone is expecting him to say he is done, to say, this is the end, they are going to be waiting a very long time. The words hung in the air like smoke from a fire nobody wanted to acknowledge. The reporters scribbled furiously. The cameras captured every frame, every micro expression, every twitch of frustration and defiance. This was Phil Mickelson unvarnished. This was the competitor stripped of all pretense. A veteran journalist, someone who had covered Mickelson for the better part of his career, tried a different approach. Phil, you have been through ups and downs before. What keeps you going? What makes you want to keep doing this at this stage of your career? For just a moment, Mickelson's expression softened. He loves this game. He loves the challenge. He loves the feeling of hitting a shot that goes exactly where he wants it to, and he loves proving people wrong. So when people tell him he is too old, that he should quit, that he is embarrassing himself, that is fuel. That is what keeps him going. He paused, collecting himself, choosing his next words carefully. He knows he is not the player he was 20 years ago. He knows he is not the player he was 10 years ago, but he is still the player who won the PGA Championship at 50. He is still the player who has 6 majors. He is still the player who can go out there and shoot 65 on any given day. And until that changes, he is not going anywhere. The interview ended minutes later. Mickelson stood up, nodded to the reporters, and walked out. The room sat in stunned silence, processing what they had just witnessed. Later that evening, Golf Channel played the clip on a loop. The analysts debated whether Mickelson was being defiant or delusional. The fans took sides on social media, and the man at the center of it all went back to the course, determined to prove that one bad round did not define a career. Here is the thing about Phil Mickelson that people sometimes forget. His outburst did not come from nowhere. It came from a lifetime of chasing greatness and a stubborn, almost irrational refusal to accept that the chase might be over. He has won 6 majors. He has 45 PGA Tour victories. He has a Hall of Fame career that most players can only dream about when they close their eyes at night. But at 55, he is also chasing something that no one has ever truly caught. Relevance at an age when most players are watching from the broadcast booth, offering commentary on the younger generation while their own games gather dust. His victory at the 2021 PGA Championship made him the oldest major winner in the history of golf. He followed it with a runner-up finish at the 2022 Masters. He won again on the Champions Tour, proving he could still compete when the lights were bright and the pressure was real, but the last 2 years have been a struggle, injuries, distractions, the constant, relentless speculation about his future, and now a 76 at the Houston Open that left him at the very bottom of the leaderboard, staring up at players half his age who have not accomplished a fraction of what he has. The history he is chasing is complicated. He wants to prove that age is just a number, a construct that has no bearing on what a man can accomplish if his will is strong enough. He wants to show that he can still compete with players who were in diapers when he won his first major. He wants to add one more chapter to a career that has already defied every reasonable expectation, but the body does not always cooperate. And when it does not, when the muscles refuse to fire the way they used to, when the eyes struggle to read the break, when the hands tremble over a 4-foot putt that should be automatic, the frustration is unavoidable. He is not done. He knows people think he should be. He knows people think it is time to move on, to gracefully exit the stage and let the next generation have their moment in the spotlight. But he is not done. He still has something left, and he is going to prove it. The words were defiant. The tone was unmistakable. Phil Mickelson is not going quietly into that good night. The Houston Open will end on Sunday. A champion will be crowned. The golf world will turn its attention to Augusta National, where the Masters begins in just over a week. And Phil Mickelson will be there, as he has been for 3 decades, chasing a green jacket he has worn 3 times before. The 76 at Memorial Park was a setback. There is no other way to describe it. It was ugly, it was painful, and it was public, but for a player who has built his entire career on comebacks, on defying expectations, on doing things that no one thought possible, a bad round is just another chapter in a story that is not finished yet. He has been here before. He has shot 76 before. He has shot 86 before. He has had rounds where absolutely nothing went right, where the golf gods seemed to be conspiring against him, where every bounce went the wrong way and every putt horseshoed around the cup. And he has come back the next day and shot 65. That is golf. That is what he does. The question now is whether he can do it again, whether the 55-year-old body that has been through more than any athlete should reasonably endure can bounce back, whether the fire that has driven him for 3 decades is still burning hot enough to forge another miracle. The answer, if you ask Mickelson, is yes. He is not going to let one round define his week. He is not going to let 1 week define his season, and he is sure as hell not going to let 1 season define his career. He has too much left for that. The Masters is 9 days away. Phil Mickelson will be there walking the hallowed grounds of Augusta National, the azaleas in bloom, the ghosts of champions past watching from every corner. And if history is any guide, he will be ready to prove that he is not done yet. His outburst at the Houston Open was about more than one bad round. It was about the fight, the refusal to accept that the end is near, the determination to keep proving that he still belongs among the elite. For the fans who have watched him for 3 decades, who have cheered his victories and mourned his defeats, the outburst was familiar. This is the same Phil who pumped his fist after winning the Masters at 43, the same Phil who raised the Wanamaker Trophy at 50, the same Phil who has never stopped believing that he can do the impossible even when the evidence suggests otherwise. For the critics who have been waiting for him to fade away, the outburst was confirmation that he is not ready to go quietly. He is still fighting, he's still believing, he's still chasing greatness with every fiber of his being. For the game of golf, the outburst was a reminder that legends do not fade away quietly. They fight, they struggle, they shoot 76 at the Houston Open and then vow to come back stronger. They refuse to accept the narrative that someone else has written for them. The Masters is 9 days away. Phil Mickelson will be there. And whatever happens next, one thing is absolutely certain. He is not done Yet. Not by a long shot. Not while there is still breath in his lungs and a putter in his hands. Not while the green jacket still hangs in that clubhouse waiting for someone to claim it. The golf world will be watching. And Phil Mickelson would not have it any other way.